Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. On Fridays, we talk about the product owner role in Scrum. We talk about patterns and anti-patterns that relate to ours and the team's collaboration with the product owner. And we've also put together a course to help you navigate that relationship. There's 18 modules, nearly 8 hours of tools, techniques, videos, handouts, presentations you can use to help you and your team work better with your product owner. The course is available at bit.ly/coachyourPO. All lowercase, all one word. That's bit.ly/coachyourPO. And now, on to the show, the Product Owner Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Friday and PO or Product Owner episode with Dov Tsal. Hi, Dov. Welcome back.
Thanks a lot. Friday already, huh?
Yeah, the weeks go really fast here on the podcast. It's almost as if 45 minutes ago it was just Monday. All right, so let's dive into the product owner role, Dov, and start by sharing with us one of the anti-patterns, the product owner anti-patterns that you've had to work with, and what made it particularly bad for you. So possibly even the worst anti-pattern you've seen in the product owner role.
Yeah. So first of all, let's define product owner. It has two keywords, product and ownership, right? So when the product is not clear or the ownership is not clear, probably we have a problem. I don't want to judge, but a lot of times product owners that fail are managers / project managers / whatever was in the organization before reorg that were put on, were given a hat which is called product owner. So there is no change in attitude, there is a new role. And this leads to micromanagement. This leads to a stress on commitment. This leads to oftentimes unclear vision. And this is like, for me, the main, the lowest performing product owners when they start, and hopefully it will change, is exactly this profile of an organization that says, now that we are moving, this is the new role for you, and your old role doesn't exist anymore.
And when you think about this particular, say, set of anti-patterns, because there's many anti-patterns that can develop from that conflict, what do you think are the biggest consequences for the team? Like, let's take, for example, the case of a project manager that is handed the hat of a product owner. Like, what have you seen in practice when that happens? When we force someone to go from a previous role like project manager, and then we impose on them like the product owner role, which is, of course, as some of us at least understand, quite different.
Yeah. So either, I think in the best case, they will be demotivated. And in the worst case, they will continue. And often these product owners were once the project managers of the team. So they will continue with this attempt to tell the team what to do. And I was in a team that was exactly this. And the first thing I did was to talk to the product owner and the team and says, stop. There is a book called the Scrum Guide, and the book says that everything passes through me now. So whenever you want to talk to the team, I will protect them. Now, it's not written in the Scrum Guide. Don't. But the fact that I love is that no one reads the Scrum Guide. And if you're the Scrum Master and you have a book behind you and no one will read it, you can put into it whatever you want. Okay? So that was for me, the first step to do is to stop this pressure. Another, the second symptom as I said, so this is about the product ownership versus team management, okay, right? So this is the product versus team approach, and the other one is the lack of vision. What happens a lot in big organizations is that the vision is not clear, which leads to stories like, as a product owner, I want this feature because I want it. Okay. I'm exaggerating, but the SI is the last thing that people talk about. So when I work with POs, I ask them to change this canonic format into as a in order to I want that. First, talk about what is the problem, what's the pain that you're addressing, who will be happy. Like when I talk to POs about value, I say the easiest way to measure value is the size of smile on someone's face. Find who will smile. How do you measure that smile? This is your value. And most POs in that category don't know or define well enough who the users are, and imagine for this non-existing user what needs to be done.
Absolutely. The understanding of the reason to smile that the customer has. Absolutely. And maybe following that, we turn our attention to what might have been, the mirror image of this, or in other words, potentially the best product owner you've ever worked with. Dov, describe that for us.
So it's a very short story. I had a product owner who had your accent exactly, and she was working in France, and she's when she described the backlog, she described the pain, and then when she came to describing the solution, she described something really, really vague. And then I asked her, how come? And she said, I do this on purpose. Like, I don't want to give the team the solution at all. I have my ideas, but I want them to invent the solution. I want them to connect to the problem, and the solution should come from them, because they know the users as much as I do, because they know what technically is possible much more than I do. And because if you do what is your idea, you will work much better.
So one way to describe that approach is to have user stories that are on purpose vague, but clearly describe the problem we are trying to address.
Yes. And connect. It's not only describe the problem, it's describe the user. If you have personas, great. If you have real people, like if you can bring the people whose problem you try to solve into the room in a demo and have a direct conversation with them, not only say, okay, we were here, we wrote notes, but do you like it? Yes. So why do you like it? And what's missing for you? Would you mind running the demo yourself? This is the new screen. Instead of us showing you, would you mind playing with that? So bringing this into the team starts making, before I said, how do you make yourself as a Scrum Master redundant? Makes the product owner redundant.
Absolutely. Or in other words, allows the team to do their work without the product owner having to babysit them, right? So bringing in the inspiration, the why, the understanding of the customer, because of course the team is busy doing that work, meaning, developing, shipping, whatever. They don't necessarily have the time to do the research and the face-to-face that the product owner can do and then bring into the team.
And there's something interesting about the word ownership. I don't like the master part of the Scrum Master. Like Scrum, I would change the word sprint, by the way, because sprint means running really fast, and I want sustainable pace. And two, Scrum Master is not about Scrum, is not about mastering. Okay, but a product owner is a great definition because you own the vision of the product. And you own by delegation. So my responsibility, my accountability, if you want, is to see that the product navigates in the right direction. But whatever you want to do with it is great as long as it's aligned with my vision. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just seeing that the ship sails in the right direction.
And that's perhaps one way to actually bring the thought of what a team is into the way we work, because very often when I hear people talking about the team, they forget the product owner, and they forget that the product owner is indeed part of the team. And when we look at the product owner as the only person who tells the team what to do, rather than the person that talks to the customer and helps them understand the problems and the customer, and then together deciding what to do, like this difference in approach to the product owner role also detracts from the ownership that the team has over the outcome of their work. And I think that you said very well that the product ownership is, or product owner is a very important term because it is the owner of the product. But especially now that even the Scrum Guide says so, and I just quoted the Scrum Guide, there you go, that the product owner is part of the team, we have to start understanding that you can't develop a product with just one head. You need all the heads in the team to develop the product. And that means the team also needs to contribute. How do we get to that vision? Even if the vision is created by the product owner, how do we get there is created collectively by the team.
Yeah, so I would correct you by saying we do need one head, but it's not the head of a person, it's the head of the team.
Yeah, working as a team to do what needs to be done to develop the product. Absolutely.
And this is one change that I love in it, like, the more mature, I'd say, the Scrum Guide becomes, the more fuzzy is the definition of a team, right? Before there was team member, and there was product owner, and there was Scrum Master. Now everyone is sort of the same team, right? But there are people who are closer to the edge of this fuzzy border, and there are people who are more in the center, but the team is everyone.
Absolutely. The team is everyone. Well said. Dov, we're getting close to the end, but before we do go, share with us, where can we find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
One is LinkedIn, which is a great resource to find anyone. And I'm writing a lot in LinkedIn, so connect to me. I almost never say no to someone on LinkedIn. I say almost just to protect myself from someone, from an exception or two. Two, there is look up my product. We didn't talk a lot about meetings, but I have a product that I created called the Meeting Spicer, which is meant to hack meeting culture in a painless way. So like in half a minute exercise in the beginning and the end, you can hack your meeting culture and help your team be more agile, more cooperative, more aware, or whatever you want to call it. And I think, and you can listen to my podcast, The Agile Tao.
Absolutely. And
I think that's enough.
Yeah, we'll put the links to all of those in the show notes. Make sure that people can connect with Dov and do ask questions and perhaps questions about what he just shared with us. So definitely do connect. Dov, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. If you want, we can end with one practice from the Meeting Spicer. Okay,
let's do it.
One way to end the meeting is let's take 20 seconds of silence to think about, if I learned just one thing from the meeting or the podcast I just listened to, what would that be?
And that's the end of the practice. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dov.
And I wish everyone who's listening a great weekend.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over. But there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.